December 23, 1948. A Douglas DC-3 was flying in the sky with 134 passengers. Everything was normal. But after a while that flight turned into a terrible mystery in history. What happened in that sky? Why does this incident still surprise people today? Before watching the full video, please subscribe to the channel to watch the next video. Let's start the tragic incident. On the night of December 27, 1948, the world's largest passenger aircraft, a Douglas DC-3, was flying from Miami to Florida. There were 125 passengers and 9 crew members, a total of 134 people on board. At an altitude of approximately 8,300 feet over the North Atlantic Ocean, the plane was moving calmly at a speed of 180 miles per hour. It was 8:13 p.m. In the cockpit, Captain Robert Miller and his co-pilot seemed to be acting normal. But suddenly, communication with San John Air Traffic Control, ATC, began to falter. Captain Miller reported experiencing a minor technical problem. That was his last voice. Just 10 seconds later, the plane disappeared from ATC radar. Its last location was right in the middle of the Bermuda Triangle. What happened that night was far worse than any technical glitch. The plane was caught in a tornado in the world's most mysterious place, the Bermuda Triangle, about which no one had ever heard or seen. In the blink of an eye there was a scream inside the plane. Captain Miller tried to control the plane with all his might, but by then it was too late. The storm had engulfed the entire plane and was spinning it like a toy. All the plane's electronics, compass, radar, everything had gone dead. The plane was no longer under human control. It was simply flying recklessly at the speed of the storm. After struggling in that deadly whirlwind for about half an hour, when the plane emerged from the storm, there was only endless ocean all around. The plane's engines were still not working, and it was slowly falling. It was slowly plummeting. Then the co-pilot spotted an island ahead. It was an unknown, untouched island. Everyone knew their deaths were just moments away. The plane crashed into a giant, old tree on the island. Hundreds of its thick branches trapped the plane like a net, and it was this miracle that saved the lives of 134 people. The passengers escaped unharmed as the plane was stuck in a tree. But it was a harrowing start. Sobs and cries could be heard from inside the plane. Captain Robert Miller, whose head had hit a panel, sprang into action as soon as he regained consciousness. He immediately pacified the people. Evelyn Reed, a retired Army doctor aboard the plane, wasted no time in taking care of the injured. A total of 10 people were seriously injured. Someone's hand was broken, someone's leg was broken, and 2 people had deep injuries on their heads. Everyone else was shocked, but safe. When everyone slowly got down from the plane, they realized where they were stuck. This was an island which did not exist on any map. There was dense forest all around, strange trees and plants, and an unknown silence. The first and biggest challenge was water. Everyone was thirsty. But there was no trace of any river, spring, or source of clean water anywhere on the entire island. Their only hope now was rainwater. Captain Miller used his experience to divide the people into groups. A group was tasked with taking out food items, medicines, and useful items from the wreckage of the plane. They used broken aircraft seats, metal sheets, and large leaves to create a makeshift roof that would protect them from the night's cold and possible rain. That first night, when they sat close to each other, there was only one question in their hearts. Will someone come looking for them? Will they ever be able to get out of this unknown place? The morning of the second day brought a new challenge. Food shortage and fire burning techniques. The little food we got from the plane was not going to last long. They had to find food on the island, but there was no way to know which fruit was poisonous and which was edible. In this attempt, a middle-aged man ate an unknown fruit, and within a few hours he died in agony. This was the first death on the island, which shook everyone to the core. After this incident, the first conflict started among the people due to fear and limited food. But Captain Miller and Dr. Evelyn handled the situation. That same evening, a teenage boy who was interested in science Use the lenses of your glasses to focus the sun's rays onto dry leaves. After hours of hard work, a thin line of smoke rose from the leaves and then a small flame rose. Fire. This was no less than a victory for him. Fire was not only necessary for cooking, but it could also keep away wild animals at night. Meanwhile, Arthur Weiss, an engineer on the plane, tried to fix the broken radio. After much effort, he managed to send a weak signal. He sent his last location and a message for help. But no response came from the front. The radio's batteries were exhausted and the only means of communication was lost. Days passed. When no sign of rescue was found even after 10 days, the patience of 4 boys and 1 girl ran out. One night when everyone was sleeping, they secretly took a small boat made from the wreckage of the plane and went into the sea. They never came back again. What happened to them, where they went, remains a mystery. After those 5 people left, the survivors realized that they would have to stay here for a long time. Captain Miller gathered everyone and proposed making a permanent arrangement. The work was divided. A team would go into the forest daily to collect food and fruits. The second team would work on strengthening and repairing the shelter. Dr. Evelyn and a few others took charge of the care of the wounded and sick. On the other hand, the American government had started the largest search operation in history to find the plane. Every corner of the Atlantic Ocean was searched. But not even a single piece of the plane was found. When no clues were found even after a week of continuous search, the operation slowed down. Meanwhile, the people remaining on the island had started learning the art of survival. They ground the island's stones and plain metal into tools such as knives and spears. The biggest challenge were the island's wild boars, which lived in herds and attacked their camps at night. There was also a hunter-trainer on board who taught people how to use spears and lay nets. After several days of planning and practice, he hunted his first wild boar. It was a terrifying and emotional moment. 2 men were injured while hunting, but when they returned to camp with that kill, it was just that there was no food. This was the victory of their unity and determination. He wrote help in large letters on the sand from broken coconut trunks on the shore of the island, in the hope that perhaps a passing ship or plane might see it. Friends, how do you like this story? Are you able to feel that pain and struggle? If yes, please take a second to like the video and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Your one subscription gives me the courage to bring more such true and hair-raising stories to you. And yes, there is a new hype button next to the comment section. If the story is really heart-touching, then definitely press it too. Let us now move forward on that painful journey. 6 months had passed. To the outside world, NC-16002 aircraft and the 134 people on board remained an unsolved mystery. After spending $45 million, the US government officially closed the search operation and declared everyone missing. Their families were told that there was no hope of their loved ones returning. But here on this unknown island, a new community was being born. Those who were seriously injured were gradually recovering under the care of Dr. Evelyn and started helping in small tasks. But during this period, some more people died due to illness and despair. Seeing no way to escape, many people were mentally broken and died. Now only 114 people were left on the island. They started burying their dead with respect and became each other's mental support. At night, when everyone would gather around the fire, they would tell stories of their old life and sing songs. For the first time after about 1.5 years, a child's laughter was heard on the island. A healthy son was born to a young couple. The birth of that child brought new hope for every person present on the island. 2 years passed. During this time, he had learned to live on the island. They had started small-scale farming and invented new methods of fishing. But the desire to return to the civilized world still ran in their hearts. Under the leadership of engineer Arthur Vance, everyone decided to build a bigger boat. This was his biggest and most ambitious project. After months of hard work, he built a large, strong boat using aircraft pieces, wood, and vines. The day he launched the boat into the sea was no less than a festival. 25 of the strongest and most experienced people were taken on board that boat with the promise that they would return with help. The boat ran fine for a few miles from the island, but then the weather showed its true side. Suddenly dark clouds appeared in the sky and a terrible storm surrounded their boat. High waves overturned the boat. Only a few of them were able to somehow swim back to the shore of the island. But 16 people lost their lives in that accident. Now their numbers had dwindled to just 82. They had almost given up hope of survival. They were just getting through the day. It seemed things couldn't get any worse, but they were wrong. One afternoon in their 8th year, a terrible cyclone struck the island. Strong winds and torrential rain destroyed their long-suffering huts and meager crops. Everything they had built was shattered. Their will to live was completely shattered. They sat shivering under the open sky, soaking wet, thinking the end had come. Just a few weeks after the cyclone, they were still trying to recover. It was shaking as if it would explode. Mountains began to collapse and trees were uprooted. Everyone was running for their lives. This earthquake was devastating. But unknowingly, it was going to be the cause of their salvation. Due to the earthquake, the wreckage of the plane, which had been lying in one place for years, shifted from its place and some wires and equipment buried under it came out. No one knew that this small incident would spell the end of their 9 years of suffering. A few days after the earthquake, when everything calmed down, engineer Arthur Vance was casually inspecting the broken wreckage. Then he noticed the plane's radio, which was now at a different angle. At that very moment, scientists believe a strong solar storm, called a solar flare, affected the Earth's magnetic field. This was a rare astronomical event. Perhaps this phenomenon, or the connection of wires shaken by the earthquake, caused a miracle. Arthur casually flicked a switch on the radio, and a faint crackling sound came from it. His heart raced. With trembling hands, he connected the remaining battery cables, and for the first time in 9 years, the radio's green light lit up. He immediately picked up the microphone and said in a trembling voice, "Mayday, this is flight NC-16002. Is anyone listening? We're alive. We've been stranded on an island for 9 years." Meanwhile, an operator at Miami's air traffic control heard this message and couldn't believe his ears. He thought it was a joke. But when Arthur provided the plane's registration number, the captain's name, and the flight's departure date, the entire control room fell silent. The US government immediately resumed the rescue operation. At that time, satellite technology wasn't advanced enough to track the location. They only knew the plane was somewhere near the Bermuda Triangle. They decided to research every island in the area. Meanwhile, a new ray of hope had awakened among the people on the island. They kept a large fire burning day and night to create smoke so that rescuers could spot them. 9 full years had passed. One morning, when the remaining 82 people of the island woke up, one of them saw a small spot on the distant horizon. That spot was gradually getting bigger. It was a ship. It was a US Navy ship that had come looking for them. On seeing that ship, all the suppressed pain, suffering, and waiting of 9 years came out in floods of tears. People were screaming with joy. They were crying, hugging each other. They were running and shouting on the sand. "We survived! We survived!" When the rescue team landed at the lighthouse, they were stunned to see the scene there. Whom the world had considered dead 9 years ago. He was standing in front of them today. Tired, weak, but alive. The story of his comeback shook the whole world. It was an incredible story of human resilience and the will to survive. Families who had given up hope of their loved ones returning were meeting them today, a moment so emotional that words cannot describe it. In America, this story became a legend that still lives in people's hearts. Exactly 1 year later, in 1958, renowned author James Baldwin wrote a book based on the experiences of these survivors, titled Lost in the Echo, The 9-Year Survival of Flight NC-16002. This book became one of America's best-selling books. It wasn't just a story. It was the harrowing tale of 82 souls who defied death for 9 years and taught us that even a tiny ray of hope can pierce the darkest darkness.